Module 1. Today we're looking at Lesson 6, Solving Problems by Finding Equivalent Ratios. So the good news is, nothing new. We're going to continue to use ratios and equivalent ratios to solve problems. Now everybody has to promise me that you're not going to be intimidated by words, because it's just words, okay? So let's take a look at, let's read exercise 1. Everybody should be on page 20. Please put the date on top of the page, 9/16. And if you want to take out a highlighter or a colored pencil, it's a good strategy to use when solving these problems. So if you want to quickly and quietly take out a highlighter or a pencil, and I hope you use the highlighter or pencil when you're doing your homework tonight. So let's take one out. Okay, the Business Direct Hotel caters to people who travel for different types of business trips. On Saturday night, there's not a lot of business travel, so the ratio of the number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms is 2 to 5. However, on Sunday night, the ratio of number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms is 6 to 1 due to the number of people attending a large conference in the area. First of all, does anybody have a question? Is there a word in there that you don't understand what it means? Anybody have a question on one of those words? It's okay to ask. Occupied means that there's somebody in the room renting the room. Unoccupied means the room's empty for the night. If the Business Direct Hotel has 432 occupied rooms on a Saturday night, how many occupied rooms does it have on a Saturday night? Well, on a Sunday night, how many unoccupied rooms does it have on a Saturday night? Use tape diagrams to help you. Holy cow, lots of words. So let's get the gist. What is step 1 in solving these problems? Look at your notes from yesterday, your Post-it or your piece of loose leaf paper where you wrote down your notes yesterday. What is step 1? What did we say step 1 was? Step 1 is to look at your notes. Identify the ratio. So let's go back. What are the two things being compared? We're going to write our little cheat sheet over here in the corner. What are the two things being compared?
The number of occupied rooms to the number of unoccupied rooms.
Occupied to unoccupied. So what is the ratio of occupied to unoccupied? Anybody confused right now? A little. Why are you a little confused? I see two ratios in there. I see a ratio of occupied to unoccupied is 2 to 5. So go ahead and underline that ratio. Now I see another ratio of occupied rooms to unoccupied rooms is 6 to 1. What's the difference between those two ratios? This is the only thing new for today's lesson. We're going to look at problems that have two sets of ratios. So what's the difference between the 2 to 5 and 6 to 1? So my first ratio we found was 2 to 5. The second ratio was 6 to 1. What does the 2 to 5 represent?
2 to 5 is Saturday night.
Right, so we have Saturday night. And 6 to 1 is Sunday night. So that's our information that's going to help us. So now that we have identified the ratio, what's our next step? Look at your notes from yesterday. What's step 2? Oh, that's right. Yep, so we're going to do it now. Draw a tape diagram. Draw a tape diagram. So how many tape diagrams am I going to draw?
4.
2 sets, which will give me 4 rows. The tape diagram includes the 2. So the key here is to carefully label. So first, God bless you, we're going to do Saturday night. So we have occupied. Occupied was 2. Unoccupied was 5. Then we had Sunday night. Occupied 6. And unoccupied was 1. So now we have our 2 tape diagrams. After we have our 2 tape diagrams, the most important step is to identify the given. Because right now we're just looking at 2 tape diagrams. Were we able to figure out what the constant is yet? Do we know what number to put inside of each box? No. But what we have to do is go back to the information and find the given. What is the given, the information that they're giving you that you need to solve this problem?
That the business direct hotel has 432 occupied rooms on Saturday night.
A Sunday night. Sunday night. So that is the key to solving this equation, or the problem, or the tape diagram, whatever you want to call it. So now I have to figure out what to do with that 432. Does that 432 represent the occupied rooms on Saturday night? No. Does it represent the unoccupied room on Saturday night? Does it represent the total number of rooms on Saturday?
No.
Does it represent the more?
No.
Does it represent the total for Sunday?
No.
Does it represent the occupied for Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. So next to that, you can put a little equal sign and your 432. Now that we have placed our given, step 4 is to divide to find the constants. And you can print this page off the block tonight since you didn't copy it in your notes yesterday because of the assembly, or we could copy it again in extra help today. So this 432 has to be divided evenly among these 6 boxes. Don't do the mistake that I made last night on the homework and divide mentally. Use your margin. Know where's Waldo work. 432 divided by 6 is what? 72. So now I know that 72 is my constant. So we can fill that in. Even though it's the constant on this tape diagram, it's still the constant on the other tape diagram because we're told that these are equivalent ratios. The hotel has the same number of rooms. We're not comparing different hotels. It's the same hotel on different nights. So they're always going to have the same number of rooms. It's just how the rooms are distributed, occupied to unoccupied versus occupied to unoccupied. All right, are we done?
No.
Ay, ay, ay. Now we have to answer the question in a full, complete sentence. So let's go back and look at what the heck these people want from us. So what is the question being asked? What do we want to know? We want to know how many unoccupied rooms does it have on Saturday night? This is where your highlighter and color pencils will come in handy. So I have to find unoccupied rooms on Saturday night. So this is what I'm looking at, unoccupied rooms on Saturday night. How am I going to find that total of unoccupied rooms on Saturday night? How am I going to do that?
You're going to do 432 divided by 72.
Well, look at my tape diagram. I already have my constant filled in. I have 72 here. How many times? So I'm going to do 72 times 5. No, where's Waldo work? Right next to it, in the margin, below it. Show the computation. Don't do it mentally. Don't do it on a piece of scrap paper. Keep it all together so we can find our mistakes.
There's 360 occupied rooms on Saturday night.
I love how you said it in a full, complete sentence. There are, what is the total? 260? 360. Okay. We've answered the question in a full, complete sentence with a capital and a period. We showed all our work. We're good to go. Before we go on and try the next one, does anybody have a question on why did we multiply by 5? Where did the 72 came from? Do you have any questions like that? Okay. Some of you are still copying the notes, so when you're done, I'm going to ask everybody to silently read number 2 and underline or highlight the key information that we need. All right, let's try. Peter is trying to work out by completing sit-ups and push-ups in order to gain muscle mass. Originally, Peter was completing 5 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. But then he injured his shoulder. After the injury, Peter completed the same amount of exercises as he did before his injury, but completed 7 sit-ups for every 1 push-up. During a training session after his injury, Peter completed 8 push-ups. How many push-ups was Peter completing before his injury? That last sentence is like a tongue twister. Now this one, they didn't even give you numbers in number form. Everything is in word form. But fortunately, we have our verbal cue words that are going to help us. So we should be underlining important key words. So let's see. I see, so we're comparing sit-ups to push-ups. 5 sit-ups for every 3 push-ups. So before his injury, his ratio was 5 to 3. After the injury, but he completed 7 sit-ups for every 1 push-up. So after injury was 7 to 1. So there is our little resource key that's going to help us. So let's go ahead and draw our 2 tape diagrams to represent the 2 ratios. Okay? So we have before. It is so important that you label this and that your work is neat and organized. So we have sit-ups. And then after his injury, Okay, so I have my two tick diagrams to represent my two ratios. This is why loose leaf paper is so much nicer. They give you lines, you can be a little more organized. Okay, any questions on where the ratios came from? Any questions on how I drew the ratios? Okay. The next step that we have to follow is to find the given. Let's find that key that is going to unlock this tape diagram. What is the given? What is the detail, the key, the fact, the number that's going to help us? But 8 push-ups when? Okay. So after injury, 8 push-ups. So we have 8 push-ups after injury. So tell me when to stop. Is it my total? 4 push-ups. Is it the more? My total. What else I spelled injury right? Look at that. Sit-ups. Okay. So 8.
Did we get 8 because we added 7 and 1?
That's an awesome question. But no, that's not how we got 8. The 8 was right here. 8 push-ups. He got 8 push-ups after his injury. So this this 8 is not for the before injury. That 8 was given to us. No math was involved, just reading. So great question. Yeah, I don't like that they did that. It shouldn't work out mathematically. But I guess it's good so that you know where it came from. Okay? Sometimes tricky is good. It clarifies. So that was given. So we still really haven't done any math yet. All we did was decode or deconstruct that problem. Do I have to divide that 8 by anything? No, because the ratio is 1. So 8 is my constant. So I can fill in my tape diagrams. And because these are equivalent ratios, they are equivalent ratios because it said he does the same number of exercises. That was given also. He does the same number of exercises before his injury and after his injury. But we're not done. We didn't answer the question yet. The question is, how many push-ups before? So I have to go find his push-ups before his injury. So how many push-ups were here?
24.
24. So I'll give my answer in a full, complete sentence. Okay, I gave you a head start on the next one. Let's go over it. Tom and Rob are brothers who like to make bets about the outcomes of different contests between them. Before the last bet, the ratio of the amount of Tom's money to the amount of Rob's money was 4 to 7. Rob lost the latest competition, and now the ratio of the amount of Tom's money to the amount of Rob's money is 8 to 3. If Rob had $280 before the last competition, how much does Rob have now that he lost the bet? Want, words. What's the gist? What are the two things being compared? Step 1, identify the ratio. What are the two things being compared? What are the two things being compared?
Tom's and Rob's money.
Right, so we have Tom and Rob. So I see two ratios here. I see before was 4 to 7. So before was 4 to 7. And then now the ratio is 8 to 3. Now 8 to 3. Okay. So before is 4 to 7, now is 8 to 3. And that's our little reference to help us. So now that we have, anybody not sure where those ratios came from?
What does the N stand for?
Now. They use now. I would have said after or use different days, but so before and now. I just pulled the information right out of there. So now let's draw our ratios. Be very careful to label them. So before, Tom was 4. Rob was 7. That's my first ratio. The second ratio they gave us, now, use now, not after. Oops. My tape diagrams really should have boxes that are all the same size. So it's difficult with the room here. So just do the best that you can. Now, it's time to unlock the tape diagrams. Let's go on a little scavenger hunt and find the key. What's that one piece of information that's just going to open this all up for us? What is our given?
$280.
Okay, so where does that $280 go? Is it for Tom or Rob? Or the total or the difference? Okay, so it's Rob. Now is it for Rob before or Rob after?
Rob before.
Before. So that Rob before. I wonder if his name is Rob for a reason. Does he keep robbing Tom? So, okay, so I'm going to go to my before. And I'm going to go to my Rob. Okay. So Rob is 280. Now what? All of those Rob boxes has to equal 280. So I have to take that 280 and divide it equally into all of Rob's boxes in the ratio. So what do I have to do?
You have to divide the $280 by 7.
And I'm going to show all my work so I don't make another division mistake like I did on my homework last night. What is 280 divided by 7? 40. So 40 is my constant. Anybody not sure where the 280 came from? A good question would be, why did we divide by 7? A good question would be, where did the 40 come from? Did I just say that? When I turn around, does anybody have a question?
How do you know if the 40 goes in the now?
Because they're telling us it's the same amount of money. Okay? We know that these are equivalent ratios. Like for the hotel had the same amount of rooms no matter what night it was. They didn't magically add on a new wing the next day. So we knew they were equivalent ratios because they represented the same amount of hotel rooms. In this one, it told us here, he completed the same amount of exercises right here, so we knew they were equivalent ratios. So it says, where they're equivalent ratios. Okay, so that's why. But now we have to find out what they're asking us. What are we trying to find? We want to know, how much does Rob have now? that he lost the bet. So how much does Rob have now? Okay, so there on that tape diagram, that represents $120. How did she get that? Anybody not sure? We're going to show our work. 40 times 3 equals 120. Whoops. Gentlemen, you writing your sentences? Okay, Rob has $120 now. Use these notes to help you with your homework. Your homework should look just like your notes. Great job, boys and girls.